Did you know that you might be a bot and not even realize it? There are 3 types of bots that you're going to encounter on social media based on my experience. They are as follows. The first type of bots is a machine-generated bot algorithms that's been released by various different organizations, agencies, foreign governments for purposes of swaying the discussion in certain misinformation or talking points for whatever reason, and they're not real. And a lot of times you can spot them because they make mistakes, they have punctuation errors, and there are other like misconnections and misfires, and you realize, okay, this is not a real person, it's a machine. The second type of bot are actually paid bots. These are actually humans that have been given certain talking points and have been told and dispatched to go into online communities, whether Reddit, on Discord, in social media, comments, various different places, maybe comments inside of blog articles or articles, and make certain points for purposes of sowing seeds of dissension and swaying the conversation in one direction or another for whatever reason. Sometimes for political reasons, sometimes it's just to, like, who knows, various different reasons. Now, the third type of bot is this where you are involved, where you may not realize you're a bot. Essentially, you may see one of the talking points that have been trumpeted and parroted and pushed out by either the electronic digital bots or the paid human bots, and you absorb their talking points and you start regurgitating it, and you find yourself saying those same comments underneath posts and not realizing you're parroting the bot's talking points, and they got you. Now, for me, in this space that I work in, the talking points that I think are bot derived and I see real actual humans repeating are the following. 1, oh, that's cute. And you think as if we're going to have free and fair elections. Again, that's a common bot talking point because it's essentially helping to perpetuate this belief that despite the fact that there is maybe threats of the Insurrection Act or martial law or threats to start war, that's going to be a reason for us to not have elections. In fact, 1, elections have never been free and fair, to be honest. When you think about it, there's always been impediments to elections, notwithstanding the fact we've had elections. 2, that in the United States history, elections have happened during all war periods. War of 1812, the Vietnam War, Korean War, World War I, World War II, Operation Desert Storm. There's no reason to not have elections. And even during the Insurrection Act and when martial law was declared, it usually is declared for a very short period of time. And neither one of those declarations have caused us to not have elections. And so that's why that one is a dangerous talking point, but people say it anyway because they have nothing else to say and they want to add to the conversation and they want to be part of it. And they don't realize that they are essentially helping push out a false narrative that encourages voter turnout, because voter turnout is such an issue in the United States. For example, in the United States, our last presidential election, there were 77 million people that voted for Donald Trump, 75 million voted for Kamala Harris, or 90 million sat out. I say this often, you can go look it up. Sometimes people question my data and facts. If you don't believe me, you can look it up. In every single swing state, Donald Trump won by a margin of 200,000 votes or less. In every single swing state, there were 1 million people that sat out. What does that tell you? That tells you had Kamala Harris, the Democrats, or whatever party don't want Donald Trump in power, would have done the effort to get about 200, maybe let me say a quarter of the people who sat out to actually go and vote, we could have had a different result. That's why that bot talking point is dangerous, is because it will thwart the efforts of those to get those 1 million people out to vote. Because if they feel like it's going to be for naught, or if it's something that the president can control, then they might as well just stay home. You already have people who, for whatever reason, are apathetic, don't think the elections matter. You don't want to put out topics or whatever like that helps support that ideal. So that is one common bot talking point, is that, oh, you're cute, you think they're going to have free and fair election, or variations of it is he's just trying to do this so he can declare martial law or declare, cite the Insurrection Act or go to war so he can end elections. All variations of those are bot talking points. So when you repeat them, when you put them down, you're essentially helping the bots, and you are becoming a bot, but an unpaid one. Like you at least get paid. You're going to be trumpeting bot talking points. Another common bot talking point that I see often is folks who say that the United States is dead, that there is no more democracy. We might as well wrap it up. I've seen people saying this like last year. Like people were saying this like in February 2025. Obviously, we've survived it. And so those folks are like ultra defeatist. But it's, you know, it's a bot talking point to say that. And when you say that, it's kind of like discouraging people to not even participate. Because if it's gone, if you're done, you succeed. Authoritarianism requires people to not want to participate in the conversations anymore. It requires people to check out. So that is why that one is a dangerous talking point, and it is a bot talking point. So if you are defeatist and you keep saying stuff, there's nothing they can do, or they don't care. I've seen a lot of this when I post something. I'm trying to educate people or give people ideas or suggestions or encourage. Like I am a keyboard warrior, arguably, because I'm not putting my body on the line. I'm not going to protest. I'm doing most of my work from behind a keyboard and a computer screen as well. However, because I have a background in a journalism degree, I have 2 law degrees, I have a legal background, a journalism background, a background in public advocacy, a background in regulatory law, background in communications and tech and media and social media engagement. I use a combination of those backgrounds to help educate people and edify, simplify things so those who are on the ground can develop a more informed electorate. And so that's a goal. So I'm not just sitting there just saying stuff that I don't understand or don't know or just don't support just for purposes of participating in the conversation without really having any like substance to move the ball one way or the other. And so if you're not going to be doing that, you just want to chime in. So I understand why people just chime in, but you got to be careful that you're not chiming in dangerous talking points by saying America is dead and it's over and we're the fascist nations now. I saw a lot of that last year. So that's another common bot talking point that people parrot and they don't realize they're parroting. And just this last one, the last one is the variations of people who say it doesn't matter. None of this matter because the administration doesn't follow court orders, or that they say Donald Trump's going to do something anyway. Essentially, it's people who you don't follow me or it doesn't matter, or you're just not aware to the extent to which a lot of the things that Donald Trump's done, he's had a horrible loss record. He's lost a lot in court. He has had successful Supreme Court doing procedural stops. Now, the difference between a procedural stop and the substantive stop, really quick, is the Supreme Court has not on their face said you can racially profile. The Supreme Court has not said you can send people to third countries. The Supreme Court has not said you can revoke those grants. The Supreme Court has not said Doge has the ability to do all this stuff. They have not said on substance. They have not greenlit anything that Donald Trump has done. What they have done, which is equally dangerous, is they stopped a lower court from issuing a nationwide injunction, which would have the effect of stopping them. So I feel like I got too into details. So lower court sees Donald Trump doing something crazy and somebody sues and they say, great, I'm glad you sued because this is crazy. All right, I'm blocking it and not just to you, I'm blocking it as the entire nation. So he doesn't do this to anybody else. And when the Supreme Court said to the lower courts, no, you can't block it as the entire nation. You can just block it as to the people in front of you. So then what happens is Donald Trump does that same action to another jurisdiction and another jurisdiction and another jurisdiction. And that's how he's been able to go from city to city to city, doing the same thing, terrorizing it, leaving a trail of trauma and destruction and lawsuits and stress. That's why, because the Supreme Court said you cannot do a nationwide injunction. And also why he's like would sue one city for not being participating and helping with the immigration enforcement and lose, and then go to another city and lose, and go to another city and lose. Each time he goes to a new city, those cities have to get lawyers, and the lawyers have to defend themselves and win. And that's something that Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson warned against during the oral arguments in the birthright citizenship case. She said, you're going to force people to have to keep fighting him over and over and over again. It's inefficient. So that's what the benefit of the Supreme Court doing that is, stopping the nationwide injunctions and telling them to continue to terror and continue to do their terrorist things until the case ends. And as I said before in another video, the case regarding the Kavanaugh stops, the racial profiling stops, that's going on until 2027. I saw the briefing schedule. It's going into next year. So until next year, he continues to do this stuff. That's the benefit of the Supreme Court wins, the procedural wins, to saying don't do anything until the case is over. But in the meantime, let Donald Trump continue to terrorize the country. So that's the bad thing. But anyway, notwithstanding all that, he still is limited. The courts are still holding, and we still are. I'm still able to say this to you. We still have, they are like jacking up journalists, but for the most part, we're still out here. I hope that helps. Don't be a bot.